I am totally overwhelmed right now by all of the different products that are available from Rainbow Loom. These are all Rainbow Loom products, starting from, the original Rainbow Loom, which is where all the love began. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the Alpha Loom. And the Alpha Loom lets you loom 7 times faster. Or so says the box. We're gonna check this out together. Rainbow Loom's new Alpha Loom. The back of the box. Yeah, this is sealed. I have not yet looked in this box. Drum roll, please. Dun 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 dun. And that is what the box looks like. We've got this that kind of looks similar to the monster tail without the pegs on the ends. And this neato home tool, it has the same number of hooks as there are pegs. So you're gonna be able to hook all those rubber bands at once. We've got a metal tipped hook, 2 bags of rubber bands. So the Alpha Loom has its own special rubber bands, black, white, red, blue, and yellow. I guess it's gender neutral, which is good. And then we've got clear bands in our package. And I thought there were supposed to be instructions. Oh, yes. So that's good, because otherwise I'd have no idea where to begin. Hey, nice little shout out here to my friend Rob at Justin's Toys for inspiring this design. Congratulations, Rob. This is one side of the instructions you're given, and this is the other, which gives you a sample layout for the alphabet and some basic shapes and symbols. And then templates for you to draw out what you want to make. And it suggests that you photocopy this section to use the templates over and over again. Okay. So step 1, it says, is to measure the size of your wrist. One way to do this is to cut out a copy of the grid on the back and wrap it loosely around your wrist. Mark where it overlaps. So I'm gonna cut this out starting at the front of the grid, wrap loosely, and mark where they overlap. So I'm gonna go with that line right there and make that the line for my bracelet. So I'm starting to make my plans for my bracelet. To lay out the letters, I started in the middle. I folded this in half to the line that I made for the length of my wrist so that I would know where my middle was, and I began with my middle letter and then did the letter on one side and then the letter on the other. And since I have such a short name, I have room on the sides. I think I'm going to add a heart on both sides. And again, I want to make sure that there's one blank row in between my last letter. So that will start here, just following the guide for how to make a heart. And I'll make a heart on the other side too for my name. Have I mentioned how much I dislike sorting rubber bands? My first 4 rows are going to be all white bands. And your first step is to take the color you need for your first row and stretch them across the 2 pegs in a figure 8. These rubber bands are much tighter than your standard Rainbow Loom rubber bands. It's not very easy to get them across these 2 pegs. So that's how you start. Is that whatever you want your first row to be, you put across all 7 of those pegs. And then you place one of these clear bands across all the pins on one side of the loom, and then you place another set of the tight alpha bands across each set of pins, again twisting. Okay, so now I have 2 bands on each peg in the color that I've set up on my pattern, and this one clear one that I had put on in the middle. And I'm supposed to grab that clear band and lift it over the pins into the middle. And then the next step is to hook all 7 bands on the bottom row with the alpha comb. When I put these on, if you can tell, I was a little bit sloppy, so I think it's important here to slide down those lower bands so that they're separated from the ones on top. And in this case, I actually overlapped them, which is even worse. Okay, so now it's very clear my bottom and top row. Now I can take my comb and pull all of those bands up and, oh, I lost one, up and over those pegs. And all of a sudden, the 8+ on the box becomes clear to me. This would be really hard for younger kids to do. So on this side, looks like I did a better job of separating them. I'm going to hook all 7 of those bands at once and repeat what I did on the other side. Okay, so my first peg, it looks like I ended up popping off 2 bands. I need to get those back in place. So first timer error here. Okay, let's put that back. Okay, so to fix the mistake that I made, first one goes down like we started. Then we need this clear band to stretch across the peg like it was before. And then I'm gonna put my second rubber band on top, again with a figure 8. Take my 1 rubber band up and over, and then this should be right. Okay, so I fixed my mistake, and now I can move on with the pattern. So let's just pretend that I had caught all 7 of these at once and brought them up on over. And if you make a mistake like I do, that's how you fix it. Then you go to the other side and you make sure you have all 7 of them. You got to be really careful to make sure there's space between these. Now remember, this is my first time using this tool. I'm quite sure that later I'll get the knack of this, but clearly it's easy to make mistakes when you're just starting out. So now I have all 7 on this comb, and there's 7 rubber bands left on the pegs. So I can pull these up and over, taking care to make sure I don't pop those top rubber bands off. See, when I was wiggling the comb now, I lost that last rubber band in the row. Try and catch that one again. So up and over, and let it go. Okay. Phew. I made it. Okay, so now that there's only 1 band on each position, I put another clear band across one side, and then add on the next row, which for me is white rubber bands again. And one of the recommendations they make is to pay attention to where this little circle is. So this will always be my bottom, and I'm going to think about putting on the rubber bands like this. So I've done my first 2 white, I'm up to my 3rd row, which is white. But if you keep dragging it along like this as you go, then you'll get your pattern right, I hope. I hope we'll find out. So stretch that across, making a figure 8 for whatever the 3rd row of colors you have on your chart is. I'm going to do a little bit of correcting where I've overlapped the bands, which you're not supposed to do. You want to make sure that one stays low and one stays high. And then I'm going to pull my clear band up and over all of those pegs. So I'm ready now again to try to use this comb to hook all 7 at once without screwing up. Let's see. This takes some muscle. I got it! Yay! See, those are still there. I didn't mess up this time. Try the other side. Oop, missed the middle one. Gotta make sure I get all 7 at once. Nope. See, I keep catching both rubber bands on the comb. I need to catch only the bottom rubber band. Okay, now I've got just the bottom rubber band. And bring that around. And let go. Whew, I got it. Now push it all down lower. Okay, ready for my 4th, but before I put on my 4th row, I've got to remember to put on that clear band. And right now, while they're all one color, it's easy, but I'm going to make sure that my circle is at the bottom so that once I start using multiple colors, I'm consistent. Okay, grabbing that clear band to bring it up and over, and then trying my best again to get all of those bottom bands at once without grabbing any of the top ones. Oh, I'm getting better at this. I did it. Nice. And add my clear band across the row. Put my circle down at the bottom because now I'm getting into the colors. And so here, what I'm going to do is count my squares. And I see that for this row, I've got 2 white, then 2 red, and then 3 white. So that's what I'm going to do. That was my 2 white. Now it's time for 2 red. And now 3 white. Okay, bring my clear band up and over to the center. Make sure I can tell which is the top and bottom band. And bring out the comb. This is my favorite part. It's a little bit hard at first. I'm starting to get the knack of it, but the ability to hook this many rubber bands at once is really neat. Now if only they could make a tool to put all those rubber bands on at the same time. There we go. Got that side. And the other. So the comb definitely makes the looping process go so much faster. But for a bracelet with this many bands, the amount of time it's going to take just to place all these bands in the right spot, that means it's going to take a long time to make this bracelet. But I think the result is going to be really cool. And here you'll see it's 1 white and then 4 red and then 2 white. So that's why it's really important to keep track of where that circle is. Get your clear one. All of these tools take practice, and you're just watching me play with it for the very first time now. And I'm gonna just keep going along for a while now because it's the same step over and over again until you're all the way at the end. So I was about to turn the camera on to start bragging about how much better I'm getting at this, which I am. I'm moving quicker. But I think I started to move a little bit too quickly because what I just did here, you see this loom band? It's supposed to be a cross and it popped out. I caught it when I was pulling the one from underneath. So now I'm going to try and fix this. And I'm going to fix it with you watching so that if you make the same mistake, you'll know what to do to solve the problem. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to catch that with my hook on one side and being very careful not to pull it out. I'm just gently sliding this through, not pulling on it. And then I'm going to get the other half of that band onto the hook too. Okay, so I'm gonna twist and pull that band through. and then bring it to the peg on the other side, making sure it has one of those twists like a figure 8. So now that one looks like the others, no permanent harm done. Phew! And that's what you do if you drop one of your loops. Just very carefully slide your hook through and bring that loop in between and twist it so that it's like the others. And then you can keep going and you can see the progress that I've made. As I've gone on, I've noted that it's really helpful in between steps if you use this tool to push the whole thing way down, all the way to the bottom. You can't, even with this length, really pull them. The tension is tight, so pulling to get those bands doesn't really work, but pushing with this tool does. And always remember your clear band, which I've come close to forgetting a few times. And always make sure you keep your dot on the same side when you're comparing to your chart. So I'm on the band that is the exact middle now. You can see here I have the top of my eye, these little corners. So this one, which is the next one, will be all black bands for the straight line of the eye down the middle of my bracelet. These bracelets are definitely time consuming to make, but the results are really cute. So I'm starting to really like this tool. So there's my black bands, taking my clear one over, grabbing my comb to catch these. The other thing that I've realized is that sometimes I'm just doing like 4 or 3 at a time and doing it in 2 steps rather than all 7 at once, but I'll try and get all 7 here. Yeah, I got all 7. I've got this under control. Other side. There we go, and now push those way down. So I'm extremely pleased to report that I'm on the last row of loom bands, and it's a good thing because I only had this many white loom bands left from the original set that they gave me. So one lesson learned for those of you who are planning out your first designs: if your wrist is longer than mine, or if I didn't have these hearts, I probably would have ran out of white rubber bands. So try and use more colors if you can in your pattern, and especially in your background, or you might not make it all the way. You can actually count the squares on here to know in advance if you want. Fortunately, I made it, but not by a lot. So this is my last row. I'm going to pop that clear band over. And then I'm going to take my comb that I am now an expert at using and bring that over all 7 pegs at once on both sides. Take my hook, bring the loop to the other side in each position. And then this is going to require 7 C-clips, 1 on each of these pegs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and number 7 goes there. Phew! So let's check this out. Oop. So that's what it looks like laid out flat. Very cute! The way that they have you finish off with the C-clips all in a row in here is the best way to make a tight closure. But I would feel a whole lot better about this if I had slip knotted each of the last pairs of bands. So I find the C-clip process is going to require some practice. This whole bracelet, in the end, it's a really solid sort of cuff bracelet. It took me almost an hour to make. This is my first time using the Loom, so I imagine I would be much quicker the next time. But any more than 3 letters aren't really going to be visible at a time. I really like the hearts. Probably going to be better working with symbols than with letters. I think maybe focusing on a single letter and then making symbols around it would make a cuter bracelet to wear. But it's really great for constructing these cuff width bracelets. And I'm guessing that with some playtime I could figure out how to use this loom to make something that sort of waves in and out. But this is the sort of standard as the loom was meant to be used construction of a bracelet. Check out my channel. I'm gonna be reviewing the brand new hair loom today also. And I've already got a video up about the new 6-pin extenders and the limited edition deluxe looms and over 200 tutorials for how to make different charms and bracelets using loom bands. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to looming with you again soon. Bye bye!